Imagine a world where it was impossible to make a mistake, where you could be whoever you wanted, and where you could seamlessly collaborate with other people to create an entire universe out of nothing. I found such a world as part of a quest to find my own voice. After being frustrated in boardroom meetings with senior executives where I struggled to make my voice heard, I decided that the best thing to do was to learn how to project my voice, and I stumbled upon improvisational comedy. Improvisation, or improv, is the form of theater that involves creating an entire performance on the spot in response to cues from the audience. This was first invented as a series of theater games for children at the University of Chicago in the 1950s and evolved as a mainstream art form with the establishment of the Second City. What I discovered through improvisation was something called eudaimonia. This is a Greek word that means human flourishing or a state of flow. This is what happens when you find joy, creativity, and a sense of complete involvement in whatever you're doing, and this spilled over to the rest of my life. I want to share with you today 3 things that I learned from improv that positively impacted my life and my work. The first principle of improv is total agreement. Anything that your partner says to you on stage has to be first accepted as if it is the most brilliant idea you've ever heard, and then you have to contribute to it by adding to it. There are no mistakes, only opportunities. So what this does is to create a safe environment where people can experiment, try new things, and jump off the ledge. So for example, if someone called me his pet goldfish, I would immediately say yes, and I would pretend to have a horrible memory and swim to and fro in a small bowl. However, if I said, no, I'm not your goldfish, I would have killed his idea right there, and the scene would have gone nowhere. So along the way, I started on my journey of yes-ands, accepting and creating memorable moments, like the time I was a divorced tugboat captain sailing down the Mississippi, an activist who was protesting against organic tomatoes, an employee who wanted health insurance to feed her prescription drug habit, and even supervillain Evil Kitty. As I went on my journey of yes-ands, something else happened. I found that yes-ands were contagious. They were spreading like a virus to my friends, my coworkers, my family. My team used to tell me things like, that is above my pay grade. And they started saying things like, I have an idea. The second principle of improv is to make each other look good. The basic notion of an improvised show is that everybody brings a brick of information, and together we build a cathedral. So every character contributes information in the form of situations, relationships, and all of that comes together at the end to make complete sense. For that to happen, it is critical to listen well. And when I say listen, that does not mean that you're thinking of the next smart thing to say or that you're judging your own or the other person's choices. You're focused and fully absorbed in the moment. And when you do speak, you speak in the form of specific statements. This art form is all about making up shit. And you do not put the burden of invention on your partner. So you help them with gifts of information that they can use to create a scene. So for example, I could start a scene like, where are we? Who is this? What are we to each other? Or I could define a who, what, where and say, Sally, I know this dildo factory is on fire, but we can save it together. Every improv scene and every performance is different. As part of being an ensemble, your role and your function changes constantly. On one night, you might be that person upon which an entire 30-minute scene is based. On other nights, all you do is make crazy bird sounds without saying a single word. At the end of the day, though, the only way to look good is to make everyone else look good. And these guys are looking good right now. But doing this also taught me a lot about leadership. I learned that leadership was not only about leading the leaders, but also following the followers. It was not only about taking charge, but also about getting out of your people's way when they were doing a great job. The third principle of improv is to follow your fear. It can be downright terrifying to perform in front of strangers who are paying for you when you have no rehearsals, no script, and no control over the outcome. But the worst kind of improviser is that one which stands on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment and the perfect thing to say. The only perfect time to jump into scene in improv is right now. So you have to jump in, face your fears, and make courageous choices, however ridiculous they may be, and they are most of the time. But this is a habit that translates to other parts of life. This is my first teacher at Second City, who's currently battling stage 4 cancer, and she chooses to make fun of it every single day. Along with making these courageous choices, this can get very intimidating at times. When you do get intimidated, you fake it till you make it. So there was this one time when I was improvising, and there was this guy sitting in the middle of a chair, and I was supposed to walk into the room and scare him. So after many times of trying and getting an emotion which ranged from mild amusement to boredom, the instructor took me aside and asked me to imagine I was a badass, tough Chicago cop. I was able to walk into the center of the room and scare this guy without saying a word. And to tell you a secret, this is a trick that never fails. I faked myself into being that same cop while climbing Kilimanjaro a few months later. And guess what? There's no way a tough guy like that would give up, would he? So improvisation is not just about making up funny things. It's about creating an environment to thrive, to collaborate, and to be creative. And if comedians can do this so well, why can't we learn from them and apply this in the organizations that we run and work in and make these as inspiring as well? So I would like to leave you with a few things to remember. Say yes and. Find ways to agree and build upon each other's ideas. Make each other look good. Listen and be fully present in the moment. Face your fears, follow your fears, and if sometimes you're scared, fake it till you make it. And I guarantee you, you will find your own inner badass cop that can rule the world. Thank you.
Thank you.